Well, hello! We are Rockin Rocketeers, and we are presenting about how our Kerbal Rocketry Challenge went. So over the summer, TARC created this new challenge for the virtual year. With the use of a sandbox simulator game called Kerbal Space Program, we were challenged to have 3 astronauts land and return from the moon after planting a flag, and we had to do this with a set budget of only 250,000 funds. We were also given a limited amount of pieces to build our rocket with. Who are we? Well, we are the Rockin Rocketeers from Samueli Academy. We are an after-school club at a 4-charter high school, and our mission is to become successful in the Team America Rocketry Challenge. And it is a competition in which hundreds of other schools compete to build a rocket that gets closest to the given parameters. So at the start of the challenge, we didn't know Kerbal Space Program all too well. We have only heard it, and some have only seen it. So it took a while to even get 1 or 2 designs in mind. After doing some testing and observing, we changed up our design based on the issues. For example, in the first design, we found that it did not have enough thrust nor fuel to even get out of the atmosphere, and frankly it was just too small. Afterwards, we added a larger 3rd stage, which did allow us to escape the atmosphere, but our 2nd and 1st stage didn't have enough fuel to get back, nor maneuver to the moon. We then went back to the drawing board and added a bigger 2nd stage, enough to maneuver to the moon, but sadly the 3rd stage was just a hair short of getting back to Earth, so we had to tweak it again. After a lot of revisions and cycles of the engineering process, we ended up with our final successful designs. When building our KSB rockets, we had to keep this flight plan in mind. That flight plan being to launch, stage, transition to moon orbit, land on the moon, launch from the moon, and transition to Earth orbit, then re-entry, then land back to Earth. With each design, we would test it according to this flight plan, and it would go further and further. The first few designs can only do so much, like previously said, and we would have a lot of flights where we were only able to reach a fraction of this flight plan before exploding or running out of fuel. So the Kerbal Space Program Simulator is not designed to be a multiplayer game. TARC wanted to see how teams will come up with ways to collaborate because of this. It was a difficult issue to solve for us, but what we ended up doing was splitting into 2 different approaches, each side having their own priorities and specific design challenge. This led into the unique rockets shown here. There was some collaboration between each design, giving tips about the rocket and about the game itself. In the end, both designs managed to make it to the moon, with one only able to return back to Earth. Throughout this challenge, our teams had some very good insights. Playing around with the Kerbal Space Program software was really fun and taught us some few things. First, with constructing the rockets, we learned how to cost-benefit each design choice. When we encountered problems and issues, we learned how to organize them and what to prioritize. For example, we stated that reducing cost is an important goal to have, so that TARC will have a higher chance of looking at our design entry. From there, we tried to reduce the price as much as we can, but still give the fair minimum to do the trip. Speaking about the trip, at the end of this challenge, we had a few astronauts that made it home safely, and we were able to learn a few things from them. The game in itself has a decent physics engine, so we were able to simulate how these flights would go in real life, to some degree of accuracy, of course. It was interesting to see the different science and physics concepts that we ran across throughout the many flights. One example of this being the Orbital Mechanics. During a flight, the game gives a real-time trajectory of our rocket based on a large number of variables. Any maneuver that we do causes the game to recalculate that path and change it accordingly. Anyways, the game has a feature that lets you create a trajectory to your own liking. It then gives steps on what to do and what to accomplish to get to said path. Manipulating the flight of our rocket was a key to fuel management and completing the challenge. Overall, the challenge took way more effort than imagined.